Hi guys, it's the end of the week, so it's time for another Cinema Club Sunday Roundup. But before I get to talking about what movies we watched this week, I wanted to answer a viewer question, which is, how do I join Cinema Club? And the answer is, you just did. We don't have any qualifications or hoops you have to jump through. If you want to be a member of Cinema Club, you can be a member just by saying you're a member. But we do have a few rules here at Cinema Club. So we ask that if you join Cinema Club and start your own chapter, you follow these 4 rules. Very simple. Rule number 1, no talking or distractions during the movie. Put your phone down, pay attention to the movie. Don't talk to the person next to you. Pay attention to the movie. We're here to watch a movie, so pay attention to the movie. Probably don't even ask questions because you know what? The movie's going to explain the movie to you. Rule number 2 is watch movies worth watching. Again, that's not to say you can't watch a bad movie, but if you're watching a So Bad It's Good or you're doing Mystery Science Theater or whatever, that's not Cinema Club, okay? Pretty simple. Rule number 3, have good snacks. We like to have snacks at the movies. Our favorite is popcorn with red vines, but you know what? Whatever works for you. But we always like to have a nice snack with our movie. And rule number 4 is the same as rule number 1. It's so nice, we got to say it twice. No talking during the movie. Okay? Okay. So, what did we watch this week for Cinema Club? Last week when I talked to you guys, I said I was super excited to see 1917 this week, and we didn't get to see it. We were all set to go, got in the car to go to the movie theater, and we actually got into a car accident on the way there. Everybody's fine, no damage to the car, no problem really. Except the other party involved decided to kind of make a federal case about it. And instead of just letting us swap information and then be on our way, he insisted on calling the cops. And then we had to wait for the police and it took forever. And then we missed the movie. So that was a bummer. But, we watched some other movies this week instead. We actually took an opportunity to go on a little bit of a trip around the world and watched only foreign films this week. So we are going to visit, let's see, Canada, Senegal, Norway, France, Hong Kong, and the former Czechoslovakia. So, without further ado, here's what we watched this week. We started the week out with a really weird Canadian movie called The Peanut Butter Solution. I talked about it at the end of last week's video. It came out in 1985. It doesn't have anybody of note in it really. It's very strange. It's a movie about a kid who goes into a abandoned house and he sees something so scary that it shocks him and makes him lose all of his hair. And then he's quite embarrassed because he's just this bald kid. And so some ghosts from the abandoned house come to him in the night and reveal the peanut butter solution, which is something he's supposed to apply to his head to grow his hair back. But of course, he doesn't listen to their instructions not to use too much peanut butter. And then his hair is growing out of control and, hilarity ensues. And he has to figure out how to stop this curse of his hair growing too fast. Really bizarre, pretty fun. The writing was whatever in parts. But it was a fun one to watch with the kids, especially because we've had our share of long-haired boys around here. If you guys have followed me on social media, have had in the past quite the hair club going on. So that was a fun one. The kids really liked it. I had fun revisiting it. Sean thought it was pretty fun too. The next night was actually the night we were supposed to go to the movies and didn't get to. So we came back home and the kids did their own thing, and Sean and I watched a really cool recent Senegalese movie called Atlantics. It's actually available on Netflix, but you got to search for it because, the Netflix algorithm doesn't really show you anything except what you've already been watching, unfortunately. Anyhow, this movie was great. It's like a supernatural love story about construction workers who are building one of those like ultra tall new super buildings in Dakar, and then they're not being paid by their bosses, and so they go off in a boat across the ocean to try and get to Spain to find work. And they get killed on the way, and then they come back and haunt the guy who is responsible for them not having been paid. But it's also a love story, and it's also a police story. So it's pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. It had really good acting, really good directing, and it was just really cool to sort of immerse yourself in the world of modern day Dakar and what that's about. Recommended if you're at all interested in what's going on in Africa right now, film-wise. This is a great one. This is from a director, I believe her name is pronounced Maddie Diop. She got the Grand Prix at Cannes last year for this movie. So again, Atlantics, available on Netflix. The next day, it was Henry's pick, and Henry is super into zombies and will always pick a zombie movie or a splattery horror movie if he can. And so he picked Dead Snow, the Norwegian movie from 2009 that is about Nazi zombies. This movie is totally fun. If you are a horror fan, especially a splatter fan, you'll love it. It's just, it's a fun romp with, young adults on winter break going camping in the woods and then getting attacked by Nazi zombies. So if that's your genre, you definitely want to check that one out. If you haven't, the CGI gets a little in parts, but it's predominantly okay. We had a lot of fun watching that one. Henry was, jumping out of his chair at the end and was like, "Tell me there's a sequel." And I was like, "Oh yeah, there's a sequel." So we'll probably be reviewing that one soon. The next movie we watched was actually, we went back to 1955 for Rififi, which is a French film directed by Jules Dassin. It is basically the ultimate heist movie that all other heist movies are pretty much copying. We picked it up watching it on the Criterion Collections streaming channel. Highly recommend a subscription to that if you are a film fan. They have all the best art house, foreign, weird stuff, but it's really cool because they curate it into groups for you. So I got this by looking through their collections and finding a collection called The Art of the Heist, and then going through that and seeing what they had to say about these different heist movies. And I realized there was this huge one from 1955 that I had never seen or even heard of. Amazing movie. It's pretty cool. It's like the first third of the movie is these guys getting ready to plan the heist. They're going to rob a jewelry store in Paris. The middle of the movie is the heist itself, and it is played silently. There's no dialogue. There's no music. The only sound is the ambient sounds that they're making while they're breaking into this jewelry store. And it is probably 30, 40 minutes of the movie, and it is so tense. I was sweating. It is so well directed and so well acted. Just incredible. And then the final third of the movie is what happens after the heist and sort of the criminals falling out with each other and turning against each other and what happens with that. And I don't want to spoil the ending, but the last scene of the movie is, it is so well directed. It is so incredibly tense. I was on the edge of my seat. I couldn't believe how much it affected me. It's an incredible movie. Anyone interested in the history of film, anyone interested in the history of particularly heist movies, they're all copying this one. This is the one that every single one is taking something from. So Rififi is the American title. The French title is much longer, and I'll apologize. I don't speak French. I can't say all of it. But look that one up for sure. Really, really, really excellent movie. Again, 1955. After that, it was Sean's pick the next night, and so we decided to take a trip to Hong Kong and watch 5 Element Ninjas, which is a Shaw Brothers movie that came out in 1982. Typical kung fu movie premise where, one school is battling another school for who's got the better kung fu skills. Only this one sort of crosses countries because one kung fu school actually hires a group of elite ninjas to defeat another kung fu school, and then those guys get massacred, and then they've got to go after the ninjas, and they've got to learn ninjutsu so that they can then come and fight back against these 5 element ninjas. And so there's a series of battles earlier in the movie against the 5 element ninjas where our heroes lose, and then they get all their ninja training, and then they come back later in the movie and battle again against the same group of 5 element ninjas and of course, defeat them. Sorry, spoiler alert. The 5 elements are gold. They have these cool reflective hats that they wear. They spin them around and confuse their enemies. Wood, water, fire, and earth. And each of the different groups of ninjas has a specialized attack based on whatever their element is. So we loved this movie. The kids loved the movie. It's an incredible movie. If you're a fan of Kung Fu movies, if you're a fan of any sort of thing with over-the-top fighting choreography in it, a little bit of splatter, not much, more just incredible battle choreography using different weapons and different elements and different sneak attacks and lots of, jumping with wires, improbable stuff. Just great movie. We really thoroughly enjoyed it. Really great use of color in this movie because they're trying to evoke the different elements. So like I said, the gold ninjas are gold, the water ninjas have blue, the fire ninjas have red. It's just very cool movie. Recommended for everybody. We found it on Amazon. And then let's see, we rounded out the week with one of my favorite movies. It was my pick, so I picked Alice by Jan Svankmajer, the Czech animator. We had been reading Alice in Wonderland aloud together as a family, and I insisted we finish the book before we could watch any of the film interpretations of the story. So we actually finished it this last week. And then I wanted to watch Alice first because that's my favorite. Disney's Alice in Wonderland is my second favorite, so we'll probably get to that in the coming weeks. But if you don't know the work of Jan Svankmajer, he is an incredible Czech stop-motion animator. He got started on his work in the 60s, I think, did a lot of shorts in the 60s and 70s, and then started doing full-length features in the 80s. Alice was actually his first full-length feature. The whole story is told using puppets, and there's one actor in the movie, the girl who plays Alice, and taxidermied animals and skulls with eyes stuck on them and doll houses that shrink and grow various sizes. It's very cool. It's very spooky. It's very creative. I love all of his work, but Alice is one of my favorite stories also. So that one really is a big favorite of mine. Definitely check out his work if you haven't seen it. We were able to access Alice through Fandor, and we also watched several of his shorts just on YouTube before we watched the movie to kind of get the kids into the mood of that movie. I'll put a couple links to some of his work down in the description of this video so you guys can check him out if you haven't before. Highly recommended. If you have seen Alice, if you have seen some of his shorts and you like them, you should also definitely check out Little Otik is a great movie by him. And another one of my favorites is called Conspirators of Pleasure, which a lot of people haven't seen, but boy, that one is weird and very bizarre and very fun and interesting. So that's about it for this week for Cinema Club. I'm really excited. In a few hours, we're actually going to go see the 1953 version of War of the Worlds on the big screen at the Hollywood Theater. That one's a really fun one of my favorites. The kids have never seen it. The special effects by George Powell are super amazing, so I'm really excited to watch that and share that with them. And I don't know what else is going on for us this week, but if you tune in next week to our Cinema Club Sunday Roundup, you can find out then. So as usual, thanks for watching. I'll check you guys out later.